In today's video, we will delve into a bone-chilling subject, the terrifying history of death by immurement, a brutal method of execution and punishment that involved burying a person alive. This horrifying practice has taken place across various cultures and time periods, and its stories are sure to send shivers down your spine. Throughout history, people have been fascinated by the idea of death and the various ways it can occur. One such method that has captured the imagination of many is immurement, which involves entombing someone within a wall, room, or other confined space. This form of punishment was often reserved for the most heinous crimes, and the victim would be left to suffer a slow, agonizing death, as they were deprived of food, water, and eventually, air. The concept of immurement dates back to ancient times, with evidence of this practice appearing in the writings of the ancient Greeks and Romans. In these societies, immurement was typically reserved for those who committed grave offenses, such as treason or murder. It was believed that by sealing the criminal away, the community could be protected from their evil influence. One of the most infamous cases of immurement comes from the story of Vestal virgins, priestesses in ancient Rome who were tasked with maintaining the sacred fire in the Temple of Vesta. These women were sworn to chastity, and if they were found guilty of breaking their vows, they would be sentenced to death by immurement. They would be placed in an underground chamber with a small amount of food and water, left to die alone in the darkness. In medieval Europe, immurement was also practiced as a form of punishment for serious crimes. One chilling example comes from the story of a nun in a German convent who was walled up alive in her cell as punishment for breaking her vows. Her remains were not discovered until centuries later when the convent was being renovated. Immurement was not limited to religious settings or Europe alone. It was also used as a method of execution in other parts of the world, such as the Middle East and Asia. In ancient Persia, for example, it was a common punishment for those who threatened the stability of the state. The victim would be placed in a stone or brick tomb and left to perish, with their cries for help going unheard. One particularly gruesome form of immurement comes from ancient China, known as death by 1,000 cuts, or slow slicing. This method involved tying the victim to a wooden frame and slowly removing pieces of flesh from their body with a sharp knife. As the person suffered, onlookers would watch in horror and fascination. In some cases, the victim would be buried alive in a wall once they had succumbed to their injuries. In addition to being a method of punishment, immurement was also used as a form of human sacrifice in various cultures. In ancient Egypt, for example, the pharaoh's servants and members of the royal court would sometimes be immured within the tomb when the ruler died, ensuring that they would accompany their leader into the afterlife. Similarly, in ancient Scandinavia, it was believed that the gods demanded a human sacrifice during the construction of a new building, particularly a fortress or castle. A person, usually a slave or captive, would be immured within the walls of the structure as an offering to appease the gods and ensure the building's stability and longevity. Immurement also appears in various myths and legends throughout history, often serving as a cautionary tale about the consequences of breaking societal rules. One such example is the story of the Lady of Shalott, a character from Arthurian legend who is cursed to live in a tower, isolated from the outside world. When she defies the curse by looking directly at the world outside her window, she seals her own fate and is subsequently immured within the tower, left to die alone. Another example of immurement in folklore is the tale of the Pied Piper of Hamelin. In this story, the town of Hamelin hires a mysterious piper to rid them of a rat infestation. When the town refuses to pay him for his services, the piper uses his magical music to lead the town's children away, never to be seen again. Some versions of the story suggest that the children were immured within a cave or mountain as punishment for their parents' misdeeds. In more recent times, immurement has appeared in literature and other forms of entertainment as a metaphor for isolation, imprisonment, and the dark side of human nature. Edgar Allan Poe's short story, The Cask of Amontillado, is a chilling example of this, as the narrator exacts revenge on his enemy by luring him into a wine cellar and walling him up alive. Despite being a horrifying and brutal practice, immurement has persisted in the collective imagination, serving as a reminder of the depths of human cruelty and the lengths that people will go to in order to punish those they deem guilty. Fortunately, immurement is no longer a common form of punishment in modern society. However, it serves as a chilling reminder of the capacity for cruelty within the human spirit. As we reflect on the history of immurement, let us also consider the importance of compassion and empathy in our own lives, striving to treat others with kindness and understanding, even when faced with conflict or disagreement. In conclusion, the terrifying history of death by immurement is a dark and disturbing aspect of human history, spanning cultures, continents, and centuries. This brutal method of punishment and execution was reserved for the most heinous of crimes, and it serves as a chilling reminder of the lengths to which humans have gone in the name of justice and revenge. By examining these dark moments from our past, we can gain a better understanding of the importance of empathy and compassion in our present lives and work to build a future that is free from such cruelty.